Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chris Loader. I'm the president of Osisko Development. I'll be talking about our principal assets. I'll be doing some forward-looking statements, so these are the things you can read at your leisure. The company is focused on two brownfields camps, the Caribou Gold Camp here in British Columbia and the East Tintic Camp in Utah. We've been working on the Caribou Camp since about 2016, and the Tintic Camp we were targeting there since 2010, but picked it up in 2022. Last year we delivered on some of our main items there, were the feasibility study at Caribou, completing that early in the year, and then the EA certificate, the Environmental Assessment Certificate here in British Columbia, which we were given in October of last year. And that's tied up, allowed us to go on to the permitting phase, which we hope to have done by mid this year. We also put out an initial resource from previous work done on the Trixie mine, small resource there, and we raised about $52 million early in the year in proceeds there. We presently have about, at the end of Q3, about $70 million in the bank and about $28 million in securities, marketable securities. This year we'll be continuing with drilling from the Tintic area and then waiting for the start of construction at Caribou. We'll start with the Caribou Camp. The Caribou Camp is located in central British Columbia, about 400 kilometers from here. It's about an 8-hour drive up there. It's paved road into the site. It consists of about 190,000 hectares of mineral rights. That covers the entire camp. It's produced about 4.5 million ounces of gold historically from underground and placer workings in the area. And we presently have about a 5.3 million ounce underground resource on about a 4-kilometer stretch of the trend there. We did go through the first one through the environmental assessment process, the new one in British Columbia, starting in 2020. We did have the option to use the old and the new one. We took the new one, and it was pretty well on time. This is as legislated timelines, and we got through on this on scheduled and received our permit on time in October of last year. We've started now the final permitting for the project and hope to have those by the end of Q2 or the beginning of Q3. The project, taking a quick look at it, it's about a mine life of 12 years. The initial mine life there, it's in 2 phases. Our first production would start later this year, and our initial capex is about $137 million with an expansion capital of $450 million in 2027, allowing us to recover about 1.9 million ounces of gold from 2 million ounces of reserves out of the 5.3 million total resource there. So our production starts out, and that averages about 164,000 ounces of gold a year, including those initial lower years, then peaks up to about 194,000 ounces a year, over 200,000 some years for the remainder. The all-in sustaining costs, including that first phase, is just under $1,000 US, and it'll be just under $900 with the secondary phase. We're using about $1,700 gold and 1.25 exchange rate on that. And we still have a large amount of resources, about 3.3 million ounces outside the reserves for further conversion. The project bodes very well. Again, originally when they were mining here, they were mining sort of 14 to 18 gram per ton small individual veins. We looked at this from a bulk mine underground, so taking all the lower grade halo and the smaller veins around some of the old stopes and areas that were left behind. And we're looking at a much higher grade, considering this is an underground bulk mine. So we're looking at stopes between 4,000 and 6,000 tons individually stopes. We got 481 vein corridors in there to build stopes on. And the beauty of this thing is the grade still holds up very well. That's the reserve grade there at 3.78. And it compares to other larger mines underground, Young-Davidson and Goldex very well. The other thing important about this is that we've drilled it, our average drill depth is only down about 350 meters from surface. And we have drilling down to 900 meters, but we've done it resource category just to show that continuity. And we're doing about 1.4 million ounces per 100 meters of depth here on that 4.4 kilometer strike length. And we feel that we can at least double or triple that, bringing it down to our 900 meter level there. This is hosted within the resource that we're talking about. The reserves are hosted right up here. We also have the 60-kilometer long trend. We have 10 other drill targets ready to go over, hundreds of other targets to follow up on. A new trend down here. We've only drilled 2, one 4 kilometers south of the present reserves, the project, and one at 8 kilometers with similar results. So we're seeing a repetitive mineralization along this thing. So there's a lot of potential at depth as well on strike here. And for comparison to other camps, we use the Val-d'Or camp where we have a history at Malarctic and compared to the Caribou camp here. The other project we have is in the brownfields, another brownfields project. It's in the Tintic district of central Utah. This is located about 40 miles south of the large Bingham Canyon mine, and it's an analog to Bingham Canyon. The only difference is that it's not eroded to that porphyry level. So this is a porphyry copper gold target area with all the polymetallic mineralization around the borders, as well as high and intermediate sulfidation gold within that. Just to remind people what the size of Bingham for a comparative Bingham was 35 million tons of copper, 60 million ounces of gold, 2.5 million tons of moly, and about 700 to 800 million ounces of silver plus lead and zinc. So the prize is big here, and this is something why we've been working on it. We started targeting this in 2010. So this is sort of zooming out a bit, looking at the whole district and who's playing there. On this side is Ivanhoe Electric. They're also targeting the porphyry copper systems here. Further south, we have Freeport. We're targeting this area in here. So these were the outline. You see the blue here. These are the outline carbonate replacement. They're typically on the borders of these porphyry epithermal districts. And these were outcropping. These were under volcanic cover. So most of all the mineralization in the East Tintic district was not outcropping. We're presently drilling the bigger targets. We have room for 3 Bingham stocks in here, in this graben structure in here. We're presently drilling here a 1,500 meter hole, looking for the causative porphyry for this mineralization, as well as down here, and we'll be doing further drilling down here. So our targeting is for bulk mine underground porphyry copper gold systems, as well as targeting some of the work we're doing now is also on these gold systems over here. We do have a small resource there in the measured and indicated category with good grade, and there was some mining going on there when we took over the project. And again, it's probably some of the higher grades probably in the world there, but small. And there's a lot of upside on this project. Our resource is basically just in this area in here, and these are all the old stopes. This was actually mined by Kennecott for flux, but grades were going from 6 to 8 grams gold per ton byproduct to 21 grams per gold in these areas. So I had a very high gold price plus high silver, 6 to 8 ounces of silver. So again, there's a lot of other potential. There was 5 principal gold mines in the East Tintic district, as well as other base metal mines. There's historic lead zinc resources there, and mines. Kennecott mined both lead and zinc here, as well as flux for the Bingham smelter from here, and paid for it with the gold credits. So our share structure presently is about 85 million shares outstanding, 115 fully diluted. As I mentioned earlier, we have into Q3, our last reporting, we had about $70 million Canadian in the bank, about $28 million of marketable equities, and we have market cap of about $300 million. And as we go into production, our vision is to move this to initially with the beginning of Caribou to 100 to 250,000 ounces a year, the expanding on Caribou and Tintic to the 350 to 500, and then of course having the option to look at the diversifying into copper, lead, and zinc in the Tintic district. And that's my presentation.